This week, we learn exactly how Jack Green of CrossFit Liberate has grown from 0 to 90 members in 4 months. Let's do this. All right, hello and welcome to another episode of Gymwright Live. I am your host, Marcus Gursey, and this week I have with me a special guest, Jack Green of CrossFit Liberate, based out of Athens, Georgia. How you doing, brother?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, right on. Glad to have you on. Jack is a Gymwright client, been working with us actually since he opened his gym, and he has had tremendous success in a very short amount of time. And today we're going to break down really what Jack has done with his fellow partners and with his team to open a gym in an increasingly competitive marketplace and still in a very short amount of time build a thriving gym. And you guys are well on your way to, towards your goals, right? You guys are, I think, ahead of schedule.
Yes. So the goal has always been 200 members in the first year. And then we are at 94 members in just over 4 months.
Awesome, man. Well done. And today, guys, we're going to break down really what he's done, and we're going to follow the kind of pre-opening, opening, growth, and just kind of go step by step. And Jack, if you wouldn't mind, man, break it down, be open, share what you guys have done. Your business coach actually put us in touch, and he told me, he's like, you've got to get Jack on the show because of what you guys were doing. And what I liked so much about your approach is that you really are just embracing the fundamentals. It's very cut and dry. It is not some like corny marketing scheme or advertising scheme. You guys are really following the playbook exactly. And that's why I want to share this, because I get questions, every single day from gym owners, whether they're just getting started or they've been in the game for 10 years and they're like, I can't grow. I'm stuck. How do I get more members? And that when you look at how they're approaching it, almost every single time it is just because they're not doing the key things well and consistently. So I'm really excited to have you on here and excited to share your story.
Yeah, great.
Awesome. So before we get into it, man, a little bit about you. I know obviously you're a box owner. You guys are based out of Athens, Georgia, which is a town of 100,000 people, right? And
Yep.
You guys have the University of Georgia there, right? So you guys have a ton of students.
Yep.
And
the dogs.
The reason why I wanted to bring that up is because most of the time when you have a gym owner who's in a more like a transient community where you've got, school people coming and going for holidays, summer break, or military towns, I hear a lot of excuses and a lot of reasons for a ton of discounts and inconsistencies, and they struggle with cash flow. And, as the ebb and flow of the year kind of goes with people leaving and coming and going and so on, they struggle a lot. And what I like about your approach, you guys don't do any discounts, right? There's no special treatment for students or anything like that. No,
there's not. We do offer term discounts. Mm-hmm. So our membership prices, if you sign up for 1 month, is $180. Mm-hmm. 3 months is $165 a month. 6 months is $155 a month, and 1 year is $145 a month. But those are the only discounts that we offer, besides a 10% discount for paid upfront and full. But that's it, man. We work way too hard to be giving out discounts to different groups of people.
Yep.
We want everybody to receive the same amount of service, so why would we discount it for one member versus another?
Yeah, it's something that in our industry is still pretty rampant. We have a lot of box owners who have a lot of these kind of antiquated, I don't want to say antiquated, but they're like legacy discount models that have existed since CrossFit started, which if you go back, when everything kind of first got going in this community, it was mostly, firefighters, law enforcement, military who were starting these gyms. So, they were giving discounts to, their fellow colleagues and so on. And not that there's anything wrong with providing a discount to them if you believe that that's important. But what I learned over the last 10 years in actually polling the members themselves is that most of the members actually were pretty offended that people were getting discounts when they're like, hey man, I'm an accountant and, I work my tail off making 45 grand a year and, have to pay my student loans back, and I'm paying to put food on the table for my family, and I pay full boat for your membership. And then we've got the fire captain who makes $250,000 a year who's getting a discount. And I mean, it was kind of a shock to me at first, but at the end of the day, it kind of makes sense. So I've actually been seeing more and more people do away with a lot of these discounts for students, teachers, and all the ones I just mentioned. And it's obviously for business, it's great. And again, it's not that it has to be expected. It's almost like we just, as gym owners who've been in this industry long enough, we kind of assume like we have to do it, but you really don't. So anyway, I thought that was important to bring up. So that said, you're also a certified financial planner, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So how has that helped you or hindered you in launching your business?
Yeah, so I bring a completely different approach to our CrossFit gym. I think a lot of times, and I hope I'm not going to overstep my boundaries by saying this, but I think a lot of times CrossFits are run by great coaches, but frankly, people who do not have much of a clue on the business side, and providing customer service and prospecting for new business. Things are both very important. Mm-hmm. So I have a unique background I started as a financial advisor at 23, right out of college, and nothing's given to you. You have to go out and find clients, and you've got to make calls, and you've got to get in front of people, and you've got to tell your story and how you're different and what your brand is. So I learned how to do that at a very young age, and I had a business consultant on that side of the business as well, who really showed me a lot and showed me, like I said, about branding and calling a lot of people.
Yeah, it's, picking up the phone and getting back to people quickly, consistently,
yes,
and all that.
Yes, always within 24 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Which kind of brings me to what we're going to be breaking down today. You guys, like I said, you guys have grown to over 90 members in just, a little over 4 months. And we had the privilege of starting with you guys since well before you opened. And that was also really why I was excited to share your story, because I think, getting the guidance and the structure and, into the hands of some really motivated people like you and your partners, it's a very easy recipe to succeed. And I want to break down, I know you've got a unique follow-up system. You made a plan based on proven strategies. Persistence, consistency have been a key part of your formula. And you also already at 4 months have processes in place for every aspect of the business. So, again, for those watching this, this is, I think, really important to hear, because people are in business 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And then we say, okay, so walk me through your processes or your documentation, and nothing exists. And it's to your point. There's a lot of really talented coaches who are gym owners. Yes. But that doesn't mean just because you're a great coach or a great person that you necessarily have experience or understanding of business systems or have the priorities dialed in yet. And obviously that's why we exist. That's what we're here to do. We're here to teach and to guide and take those people who are passionate coaches and love what they do every day and show them how to make a business that matches that, right? So let's dig right in, man. So first question I like to ask is, why should a gym owner care about this? What are the benefits to what we're going to be talking about today?
Sure. I think one thing to talk about, I think a lot of people are afraid of the business side of it. They kind of see themselves as, like you said, great coaches, but they don't really know how to marry that business side. They're almost ashamed that, hey, we provide great service. We change people's lives every day in this gym. Mm-hmm. And there's no reason that we shouldn't be compensated for that. It's a win-win for everybody involved. And don't be afraid to make money doing this. Mm-hmm. That's what I would say.
Yeah, it's people think those are two different things. And they aren't at all, especially when you do something as powerful as what we do in a CrossFit gym every day. It isn't, we don't just take people through workouts. We're making happier, healthier people who become better leaders, better parents. They contribute more to, the positive trajectory of making this a healthier place, and we are the epicenter of that. We make fitness fun for people for the first time in their life most of the time. So it's pretty important, but then you look at how people are charging or running their business and it doesn't match that, right? So having those things be in line is important. And when you get those in sync, it's absolutely possible to still grow at a rapid clip, and if you're willing to do the work. And you don't have to take the shortcuts. You don't have to give in to, doing a bunch of things that are out of line with who you are as a gym or what your values are around training and doing challenges or things that don't suit you. There's lots of great tools out there, but you got to make sure you're doing things that are appropriate for you. And you guys are, again, a good example of really just sticking to the core basics here. So, and also this applies not only to new gyms, but this also applies to any gym that's looking to grow, by the way. So if you're watching this, you're like, hey, I'm not a new gym. I've been around a long time. This isn't going to apply to me. Wrong. It absolutely applies to you. So watch this. And by the way, too, if you're watching this live, be sure to stick around towards the end of the show because we are going to have a live Q&A and Jack and myself can answer any questions you have. You can just start putting them into comments here now. And if you're watching this post airing and you're just catching this later, a week from now or 2 weeks from now, whatever, still post your comments. Just tag Jack or myself in the question and we're happy to answer questions for you. So anyway, let's get in. So let's start with the pre-opening. So you guys started and we've got like 6 months before it's time to open your gym. Walk me through what you guys did to go from nothing to launching with momentum and having a huge pipeline of prospects before you guys even open.
Sure. I think we had a special opportunity to really change the view of CrossFit here in Athens. To really bring that level of customer service and professionalism and friendliness that I don't think was quite evident in our marketplace. So what we did, and we got the idea from our business coach at Gymwright, was to start scheduling community workouts. So what we would do is we scheduled one at a brewery, we scheduled one at the park, we did one with Lululemon, and what we would do is we would invite everybody that we knew. We had all of our coaches, all of our staff, myself, put on a spreadsheet of prospects for the gym. We would invite them, but the most important thing that we would get from these things is we would capture people's information so that there could be follow-ups right before we open. So we could call those people and be like, hey, you had a great time at the community WOD 2 months ago or a month ago. Come and check us out. We're at our new space. Like, we're having a lot of fun. We're changing lives. Come, you want to be a part of something special.
And did you guys set that expectation? So when people first came to that community WOD and you were gathering that information, were you letting them know, hey, we're in the process of putting together our own facility and, we'll be following up with you or is it okay if I follow up with you? Walk me through really like what happened day of on these events.
Yeah, sure. So we would say, hey, we're getting ready to open a brand new CrossFit gym downtown Athens. It was more of I would call everybody the next day and just thank them for coming out. And then it was just more, I'm not afraid to call anybody. If somebody doesn't want to be contacted by me, they're more than happy to say, hey, appreciate the call, but I'm not interested. So I'm just not afraid of the rejection. We didn't really ask for people's permission to follow up with calls. I just did it. But everybody was super stoked and I didn't get anybody to tell me to F off. So.
And when you followed up with them, did you make any sort of an offer right then, or was it just, hey, just wanted to thank you for coming. We'll follow up with you again in the future as we get closer to opening? Was that kind of the sentiment?
That's exactly what happened. At times, if somebody was really more interested, we did sell Founders Club memberships. Those were at a discounted price, but they had to be paid up front in full, and that's just to raise some more capital for the gym before we opened.
So interesting. So I want to segue to that. You guys had a founding member offer in place. Would you mind breaking down what that was and how you guys went about selling that exactly? Yeah,
sure. So Founders Club membership, we offered only 3, 6, and 1 year. The 3-month was $140 a month. The 6-month was $130 a month, and the 1 year was $120 a month. But it had to be paid up front in full. Mm-hmm. There was no pay by the month for those options. And like I said, that was just from a business standpoint to raise some more capital, to have some working capital when we started.
And so you're selling only a prepaid, and were you hopefully letting people know as they're buying these that this is just the initial offer, or is this something that they can renew later, or does it then just go to the standard membership beyond that?
Yes, standard membership after that. So this was a one-time deal. You cannot renew your Founders Club membership.
Awesome. Love it. Very good. And here's what's so good about structuring it that way is that a lot of people do founders member deals or specials, but then they just let people stick at that and they say, hey, you sign up at this, significantly discounted rate, and because you're new, you get to keep that rate forever. And what they realize is that, their first 50 or 100 people, because they're trying to get to, some recurring revenue and secure some of the costs of doing business, that they don't realize that once, they're 2 years, 3 years down the track, that could be 25, 50% or a majority of your member base. And now your average client value is in the toilet and you can't afford to do business and you can't grow out of it. And the only way to do so is by now kind of going back on your word with some of the people you made this promise to, which is always an awkward conversation. So really important to note. And it's my favorite approach in doing Founders Club. So nice work. So you guys did 3 community WODs, always gathering contact info. So you guys had this huge pipeline. How did you promote these events? Like, how did you guys get them out there? Aside from you guys putting your own list together and, of people you knew, did you do any kind of other promoting or advertising, or did the brewery, for example, do any promotions or anything like that? Or was it you guys working exclusively on your personally made list?
Mostly our personally made list. It was a lot of calls, text messages, emails, just telling people, hey, it's a free workout. Come and see what we're about. We would put Facebook events up, but we didn't pay to boost them or anything. So it's just a lot of one-on-one sales, if you will, just contacting people, getting in front of people.
Awesome. Cool. So pre-opening, and how many people did you guys actually get to sign up? Like, how big were the lists of like people that you were following up with when it was come time to say, hey, we're opening, come in, like, let's get started, and or your founding members on day one? So you open the gym first day. Where are we at? 22
members, I believe it was. 22 members when we first opened, 22, 23.
Yep.
So we opened October 16th. We actually did a dry run of a week for Founders Club members, where they came the week of October 9th, and they were able to work out. But the first official open date was October 16th, and we only ran one workout a day that week of October 9th. October 16th is when we opened up with a full schedule, and it was 22 people, I believe.
Nice. And that was people who had done the prepaid, or 22?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. And then at that point,
there were a couple people that were on standard membership. Not many though, 2 or 3.
Okay.
Month to month. Yeah.
Cool. So pre-opening, we open up, and you are basically calling your entire list, asking for one-on-ones. Would you mind walking us through what your sales process looked like?
Sure. So we were getting inquiries through the website as well, which has a great sales funnel. And I always follow up with people within 24 hours of an inquiry of the website. Mm-hmm. Some people are kind of shocked by that because they'll put an inquiry on the website. I'll see it. 10 minutes later, they're getting a call. Hey, this is Jack Green at CrossFit Liberate. I saw your inquiry through the website. Let's go ahead and get you set up for your free session. What does your calendar look like over the next week?
Mm-hmm. And that's basically it, right? It's that to the point. So for those watching, there's a lot of older tactics where people do this hardcore, in-depth explanation of who we are, what we do, like hard screen, if you will, to kind of like cut down. It's almost like they're trying to pre-sale before that intro. But as you've learned, that's not the name of the game in this business. The name of the game is make that call as easy and as low impact as possible, and to the point of just getting them in the doors as quickly as possible. So the race is when that web lead comes in, or lead in any form, it's I want to get you on the phone to build some rapport quickly, make you feel comfortable, and get you scheduled as quickly as possible. And then as soon as that, and that is to get you in here as quickly as possible. So like you said, that 24-hour window, I honor that same rule for trying to get someone in for their intro. Obviously, you got to sometimes go, 2-3 days, but I'm going for the closest available time slot that they have, because we want to make sure we keep them whatever track they're on psychologically that had them actually pull the trigger on inquiring. We want to keep that going before that little voice in the back of their head that says, you can't do this, you're going to fail again, you're too busy, it's probably too expensive. That little voice is going to get louder and louder again really quickly and override that little initial initiative they took to actually reach out. And same thing, they schedule an intro. If you put too big of a gap, like, hey, I can't do it until next week. I mean, you've probably seen this if that's ever happened to you. there's a far smaller likelihood that they're A, even going to show up, and B, that if they do show up, they're going to kind of go through the motions, and it's going to be a much steeper sell to actually get them to convert.
Yes, I try to get people in as quickly as possible. Sometimes it doesn't quite work like that, and you're, a week out, especially when we were in January. I mean, we were doing a lot of one-on-one, so it was like we literally almost don't have the capacity to do. But you try to get them in as quickly as possible. And the Infusionsoft does a great job of following up with emails, reminding them of their times, reminding them of their scheduled appointments. The Infusionsoft system is outstanding, by the way. It's great because I can put different prospects in whatever stage they are in the pipeline, and that's how I follow up. So I make notes like 2/23/18. Called, talked to them about one-on-one, said for me to call them 2 days from now. And when somebody says, hey, I'm busy right now, can you call at 4 o'clock tomorrow? Well, guess when they're getting a call? 4 o'clock tomorrow, because I'm serious about the business and I'm serious about getting them in. So until somebody tells me, hey man, I'm no longer interested, then, I'm following up.
That's awesome, man. I love it. It's the number one priority for you, right?
Yes.
Is managing your pipeline. And
yes.
As it should be, if you're the one who is responsible for that initial contact, the intro session, and making a sale, even if it's a couple of people, it can be divided and still be successful, but it has to be your top priority, and that you do what you say you're going to do. You follow up. No one falls through the cracks. No one gets forgotten. And just embracing that is already going to allow you to convert more people, because people don't fall through the cracks. You don't get back to someone too slow, or, oh, hey man, I'm sorry. I meant to get back to you last week. You missed the bus. So,
I'll go back to one thing. I think this is the most important thing in business, Marcus, and you said it, is when you tell somebody you're going to do something, you do it. I mean, that is the golden rule in business. If you will do that, you will have people that they will want to do business with you, because there are so many people out there, and I mean, we've all done it. I mean, I've made the mistake before. Hey, I'm going to do this on Thursday, and you don't follow up. You don't do it.
Sure.
Well, that's an immediate red flag to the prospect or the client. So always, I can't stress this enough. When you say you're going to do something, you do it.
100%. So, your sales process, quick, nice and sweet phone call. Let's get you scheduled. And then you're doing a one-on-one intro session, right?
Correct.
Beautiful. And
I do not do the one-on-ones. We have a one-on-one coach that does this specifically.
Oh, okay.
She handles one-on-ones.
Okay, beautiful. So you're just the one doing the initial contact, managing the pipeline. You hand them off to her to actually execute the intro session. And can you give us an overview of what your format looks like?
Sure. So the prospect comes in, they're greeted at the door. They're given a tour of what the facility looks like. We have a beautiful facility, very clean, has a lot of character. So we go through and then we sit down with them. We just want to know about their goals, what they're trying to achieve, learn a little bit more about them, get them talking, get them feeling comfortable. And then we'll talk to them just specifically how we can help them achieve their fitness goals. We talk to them if they've had any injuries. We talk to them what their most recent fitness experience has been. And then they kind of open up a little bit, and then we go through a warm up, and they're all I tell them this over the phone what to expect, so they know when they come in. Hey, they're going to go through a conversation. We're going to go through a warm up. We're going to go through a quick workout. We always go through baseline, which is a pretty simple CrossFit workout that we all know: 500-meter row. 40 air squats, 30 ab mat sit-ups, 20 push-ups, 10 pull-ups. And then we give them some correctives, along the way. We show them how to do it. They're having a good time. And then at the end, and the most important part, we get to display, yes, we know what we're talking about in fitness. We know CrossFit. We can explain it to them. If you're going to try to go a little bit deeper into the woods about explaining, always use words that they're going to understand. So don't use acronyms. Don't use constantly varied functional movements performed at high intensity. That's not going to meet anybody's level. Right. And then the most important part at the end, we're asking for the business. Hey, you mentioned that you have your wedding coming up in 3 months. Well, let's go ahead and get you signed up for a 3-month membership. How does that sound? Yeah, that sounds good. So it's asking for the business. And if they do not commit at that point, I am then the follow-up person. So,
Okay, so
I
they're
contact
assigned back
guys.
to you.
Yeah, so they're assigned back to me. I'm talking with Gabby. I'm like, hey, Gabby, she's our one-on-one coach. How'd the one-on-one go? Tell me some details so I know where the person stands. And then I'm following up the next day. Hey, Joe, how did your one-on-one go with Gabby go yesterday? Tell me about it. Well, what do you think about membership? Tell me what you're thinking there. So it's always about being, closing that business.
Yeah, no question. It sounds like you guys are following a lot of the principles that we teach for the intro session.
Yes, that's where we took it from.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm like, this sounds pretty familiar. So you and your coach dialed this in. You guys follow the framework, and it's in essence, it's a prescriptive sale around what their actual goals are, timeline based. You prescribe your time based membership, right? So 3 months, 6 months, like you said. Ask for the business at the end, but then they get handed back off to you. This is actually really similar to how we used to do it at Active, is that it would get handed back to my front desk manager, who was the same person who did the scheduling and got them booked, and then would do the follow-up. I'm curious, how many of those do you convert, or like how many of those come back to you, and then do you convert once they're signed back?
I've got the numbers. I have not specifically run that metric. Mm-hmm. I can run it and tell you, but I couldn't tell you the exact numbers. Now, our coaches are set on a commission structure. So they get 5% of any sale that they make that day, but they have to make the sale before the athlete or prospect leaves the building. If they leave the building without signing up for a membership, then they lose their chance on the commission, and obviously I'm doing all the follow-up work from there.
Awesome. Very good. Okay, so we've got a solid pre-opening game plan. We've got a full pipeline. We've got a solid sales system. You're relentless on the follow-up. You've got a nice model for follow-up post-intro in case the person doesn't convert. So what are you doing now to continue to grow, right? So that's kind of like the core structure. Now, what are you doing to continue to grow and gain interest and get new eyeballs, and what's really contributed to this trajectory? Because obviously your list wasn't the whole it's not the 94 people you've got today.
Yeah, sure. So we have had a lot of success with doing community WODs and going to events, getting in front of people. I like to call it, you have to play in traffic in order to get hit, right? I mean, so we've got we did probably 5-6 different events / community WODs, and then we've got 4 or 5 scheduled coming up. And that's all about capturing information, though. That's the most important part, is if you're going to, and I talked to somebody posted about a booth in the Gymwright discussion and was like, hey, has anybody had any success? And there are a lot of people who said that, no, we didn't have a success, but we did a booth at a bridal show here in Athens. Mm-hmm. And it was, I don't know, there's 1,000 people that showed up to this thing. Mm-hmm. We paid I think our all-in cost was close to about $800 to $900 to show up, but we scheduled 11 one-on-ones. We got 6 people that showed up, and we closed 5 of them. Beautiful. In new business. So, it's about being at that event and not just telling your story, but being like, hey, let's go ahead and set you up for a one-on-one. It's about setting people up for the one-on-one at the event that you're at. That's the most important part. You're there to go ahead and set them up for the one-on-one. Send them through your sales process. And you want to be in control of this process too. Don't let them say, hey, yeah, I'll call you next week.
Right.
How many times have you told somebody that and you never intended on calling them? So make sure you got their conversation or got their contact information. You're setting them up for one-on-ones right then. If they do say something like that and they won't go ahead and commit to a one-on-one, guess what? They're getting calls until they tell me no.
Right. What is the old adage? What is it? Buy or die. Like, I'm going to keep following up with you. You're either going to buy or you're going to tell me no or die. It's one of the 3.
Yeah. So, and I told my business partner this. I said, I get so happy sometimes when people tell me no, because that means, hey, I don't have to follow up with you anymore. Like, if people will just be like, hey, Jack, I'm not interested. Oh, okay, that's that. And I always give them, there's no more important investment of your capital or your time than that of your health and fitness, to show that we care and we want to help. we offer those people a free 30-day workout. So we're always trying to offer value and show how we're different, but they're still getting one last little sales pitch in there to because some people need that. And we're, like I said, we're changing lives. When people come in, they get healthier, they get fitter. Why wouldn't I want to do everything I possibly can to sell to get this person in my gym? I mean, we've got 33 or so Facebook reviews of 5-star reviews of people, and not people just putting, hey, 5 stars, this is great, of, hey, I had never really enjoyed fitness. I had gotten overweight. I came to CrossFit Liberate. These people care. They went through all the movements. They follow up with me. I mean, it's changed my life. So why wouldn't I want to tell everybody I possibly can about this and sell them on it?
Yeah, I think that's an important point. You know, having almost like a parting gift for a lead that didn't want to sign up is a really great tool to, again, show them that you're not just here trying to sell memberships, and instead I am legitimately here in business to help people achieve this, whether it's with me or with another gym or on your own. If you achieve it, I'm happy. The people who see the value in what we do and want to be here will be here. That's what we do, obviously, for business. But having something like that where you say, hey, look, it's all good. We still want to provide you this. I know you still had your goals to lose that weight by the time you have that wedding or going on. So I'm going to send you, our 30-day at-home workout plan. You can do this on your own. This is all stuff, it's all self-explanatory, whatever. Yeah. You give them something like that and walk away confident, then guess what? Oftentimes those people will come back. Because if you did an awesome job on your one-on-one and you were legitimately interested in who they are, what they've done, what they're trying to do, why it's important to them, you showed them the connection between what you do and what they need, and you ask for business, hey, not right now, that's fine. I'm going to send you this so you can at least get started on your own. When you get people coming out of an intro and they're telling people about your gym and they're not even members at your gym, like we used to get referrals in, they're like, hey, they're like, oh yeah, Steve was talking about your gym, said it was so amazing. And I'm like, Steve? I'm like, I don't have a Steve.
Yeah,
and
who is this guy?
And I'm like, who is this guy? And I'm like, please excuse me, does he go by another name? They're like, oh no, he's not a member here. He did an intro with you like 6 months ago, and he's talked about you like 3 times at different parties. And I finally thought, I'm going to give this a try. And so they reached out. And it's because we knocked it out of the park for Steve. We legitimately weren't a good fit where Steve was at. But Steve still was raving about what we did and the effect that we had on him, and that we gave him this at-home workout series. And he's like, dude, no way. And was referring people in. So it goes to, I think it supports the concept of it doesn't matter if they necessarily buy right now, still provide value, still have these tools in place, so that you can really position yourself as a brand and as an authority in your space that's really doing this for the greater good. Anyway, so moving on. Another point I want to address before we move past the community events, because this is a sore spot for a lot of gyms. You said that, you saw a lot of people in the network who were talking about, I've tried it, it doesn't work. Ask them what their strategy was. I bet they set up a booth and just were sitting there with flyers and business cards and taking a passive approach. And going back to what you did pre-opening and how you're doing these now, it is all about you initiating and getting information so that you're in control and you do the follow-up, and setting expectations of like, hey, well, I'll follow up with you. We'll get you scheduled for a free intro. I'll show you, I'll show you around the gym. I'll show you what we do. We have a ton of fun, and I'll follow up with you tomorrow. And you actually call your whole list that day or that following day, and not just sitting there saying, hey, I spent $800 on a booth and I gave out a bunch of flyers and a bunch of business cards, but it didn't work. I didn't get a single member from it. These are gold mines when you come at them and you make, first of all, do something fun at your booth so it's not just boring. Like actually do a workout, get people engaged, but then also make sure you're gathering their information. So important point. So what's next for you? What are you guys doing to create more raving fans? Where are you guys going from here?
I love the term. There's a member right there. I love the term raving fans, because that is not somebody who's just a member who is satisfied, but they are a member who you've met their expectations and gone beyond. So that person then becomes, they're not having people ask them about the gym, they're telling people about the gym.
Exactly.
And
right.
that's great. I mean, that's what you want. And we also use the referral credit that we got from Gymwright. So those people are able to give $100 to their referral person. And if they sign up, the referral person gets $100 as well. So the referee gets $100 for their first membership. The member gets $100 credited to their account. So I love that term, raving fans, because that's what we're trying to create every day.
It's what it's all about. Makes selling, marketing, retention, selling additional products. It makes everything easier if you just focus on knocking it out of the park and intentionally exceeding expectations on all fronts. So nice work. All right, so let's open this up to some questions. So if you're watching this live, type them in now. We've already got a few in the queue here, but go ahead and add them in now if you've got any more. First question here is, let me pop this thing in here, see if I can get the comment to show up. Technology's been a little funny here, but anyway, here we go. Question from Brittany Welch, who was actually a guest a couple weeks ago. Hey, Brittany. Question is, as you scale your business, will you always be the person to follow up, or do you feel comfortable handing that off to, say, a manager or a head trainer?
That's a good question, and that is something that I have thought about. I have not. I think at some point in time I probably will, but it's just so much in my wheelhouse. The exact same principles that I've taken from being a financial advisor and prospecting from that business, I just use in this business. So it's just a really natural fit for me. I don't do any coaching unless it's emergency. So I'm strictly the person who drives business. So I've delegated all the coaching, and my business partner does the books and kind of the back end. We have a head coach / gym director. We have an assistant head coach. And then we have 2 foundations coaches. So that's where I've delegated. I don't know. We'll see. I enjoy it. I don't want to give it off yet. You got me really excited. I'm going to make a bunch of calls after this. In fact, you got me really excited to get out and sell and tell the story, but I love it, man. I love it. So not yet. At some point in time, I may want to do it, but I'm I know exactly how to do this. So I could teach someone. The processes are there. I just teach them Infusionsoft and following up and some of the language. But, I mean, the process is there. I could hand it off. Sure. But I just don't want to yet.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It was the very last things that I let go of as my gym became more and more kind of autonomous and running without me to a large extent, was doing the actual intro sessions on the front end and actually teaching at very least day one of the onboarding of our on-ramp program. And it wasn't because I didn't have the staff. It wasn't because I couldn't hand it off. We had very good staff that did a phenomenal job. I liked doing those the most. It was the most rewarding thing for me when I was able to connect with someone on the front end who maybe had a totally, misconstrued understanding of fitness or, relationship with themselves and their body image or whatever it was, and connect the dots and get them excited and get them to start what I know was going to be a phenomenal fit for them. And it was my element. I never got tired of it. I could crank through a dozen intros in a week, and I wasn't tired because I enjoyed it. This was my favorite part. Same thing with teaching on-ramps and things. That was getting new people to fall in love with it was my favorite part of the whole thing. We had great coaches on staff who handled most of what happened after that. I would pick up some classes and whatnot, but I think we're pretty similar in that regard. So great question, Brittany. Thanks so much for asking. Let me get this one out of here. All right. Next question here from Emily. This is in regards to what we were saying, I think, towards the top of the show, but what's your next step if they don't sign up day one or in the initial follow-up? Do you ever bring them back in for a class, or is it all follow-up?
It's usually all calls and follow-up. At that point in time, in my opinion, they don't need to see any more of the gym in order to be sold. It's just about kind of finding that hot button to get them to sign up. I don't think they really need to see a class. And if they specifically ask for a class, I will let them come and join a class, because we've gone through the sales point at that time. That's the main thing. Whether you're a inexperienced CrossFitter, you've never done fitness before, or you've been doing CrossFit 7 years, you're going through a one-on-one. And that's just simply because if you stick someone in a class, there's no sales process there.
Yeah.
That is what the one-on-one is there for, is a sales process. Yes, we with an experienced CrossFitter, what we do is we go through that same conversation, and then we put them through a one-on-one on whatever movement they want to work on. And our head coach is an absolutely great Olympic lifting coach, so he'll go through. Everybody likes to work on snatches. It's kind of inevitable. Mm-hmm. So they go through. They're working with the coach on the snatch, and then we go through a Metcon. Mm-hmm. With them. It's a one-on-one type of deal. We're just trying to show them the value that, because I think the number one complaint from experienced CrossFitters, hey, I just wasn't quite receiving the coaching.
100%.
That I felt like
they're the lowest hanging fruit.
Yep.
It's the biggest mistake I see in aside from, not following up or whatever, but people who actually have a good sales process in place for people who are new to CrossFit somehow think it's okay to just, oh, you're experienced? How long have you been doing CrossFit? 4 years? Okay, why don't you just come in and try a class? What are you doing? That person, this is an even easier sell, because here's what happens. That person who's experienced, you're able to invite them in and say, hey, it's because I actually really want to see where you're at. I want to get to know what you liked about your previous training, what you're looking for in a new gym. I want to break down for you. It's a different kind of conversation. Fundamentally, you're still going through the, what have you done? What did you like about it? Where are we at now? Where do you want to go? Why does that matter to you? Here's, let's now go through some movement. Let me see how you do. Let me prescribe the solution. We go through the same format. The conversation is just different. But here's why it's so important, is that everybody else is just inviting them in for a class, and there's no follow-up. There's no making it about them. There's no showing them we are good coaches. We take what we do seriously, because they're looking for an upgrade. No one wants to just find something that's a downgrade. And like you said, most of them usually were coming from a place where they're like, I want to get better coaching, right? So this is your opportunity to show them how you care about the individual and how you can actually help them specifically work around that shoulder injury, or maybe finally get that first muscle up, and how, you have that information. Because then once they get into your class, what happens is someone new shows up, right? A new member who's experienced. Either they look the part physically, or, the bar starts moving and your members are like, who is that? Someone putting up, starting to snatch up 175, 185, and they're like, where did you come from? They start talking to that person. And what happens is that person is like, oh yeah, actually I just moved to the area, or I was looking for a new gym. I tried this place out. This place is amazing. I went through this killer experience with Jack and, or with Gabby, and, none of the other gyms did that. You're lucky to be at this gym. And what it actually does is it solidifies it for existing members that other people who are experienced or are good or are ahead of them are choosing your box. So it has a double effect. Not only are you converting that person, you're more likely to convert them, but you're also bringing someone in who's now going to help kind of resell and solidify people's decision to be a part of your community.
We got the question answer. I want to make sure that's one of my pet peeves, is that when somebody's asked a question, they kind of go off. But did we get, I believe it was Emily, did we get her question answered, Marcus?
Yeah, I think so. I think
okay.
The idea, do you have any follow-up? No, it's, you're not giving them an offer or a discount to come in. It's not a good angle to come from. It kind of devalues what you do.
And it's empowering when somebody says, no, I can't quite afford it. When you say, oh, okay, well, that's fine. We offer a ton of value for what we do. If something were to change, you know where to find us.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we got some more questions here. Let's see. Next one here. Another one from Brittany. Brittany's firing them off here. I got a few in the queue. She says, what was your main lead source for the 90 plus members you acquired? That was the community WODs, right?
Yeah, it's always been community WODs and following up. Now, like I said, the website does a great job. It really does. I can't say enough, because if you go and check our website versus the other websites of any other gym, I don't care if it's Orange Theory, I don't care if it's another CrossFit or yoga or whatever it may be, our website kicks ass. So people see it, we're professional, and like I said, and it's just about, they'll go through the sales funnel, you'll get the information, call them as quickly as you can.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. All right, let's see. Next one here. I'll just get them all from Brittany out of the way here. It's the Brittany show here. How long from the time someone who did a one-on-one and didn't sign up do you reach out? Less than 24 hours or more?
Usually it's just next day. So we had someone yesterday that came in at 5:30 p.m. and did a one-on-one, and I followed up with them this morning. Mm-hmm. So it's just, we had somebody come through this morning who did a one-on-one at 6:30 a.m. I will probably call that person on Monday. I will give them the weekend just as kind of a courtesy for business, because that's most people, but they'll get a call first thing Monday. Sometimes it just depends on how frisky I'm feeling. Sometimes I will call them same day because Gabby's done the one-on-one, and, you know, I'll just call and follow up and say, hey, Catherine, how was your one-on-one this morning? Tell me about it.
Sure.
So it just depends, but it's usually very next day.
Yeah. Cool. All right, here we got a good question here from Bo Shulgin. It's kind of a longer one here. Question is, how are you incentivizing your head coach? I asked because if you and your business partner are not the face of the gym, meaning you do not coach, you are not establishing those important relationships with your athletes. And now all of a sudden your head coach leaves to open up his own box. What happens? I'm sure Marcus has seen this happen a million times. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. If somebody thinks that they can go off and do it better than we can, that's fine. I want to emphasize that no one person, myself included, my business partner, our head coach, is bigger than CrossFit Liberate. Mm-hmm. So we could take CrossFit Liberate's model and move it to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or we could move it to Austin, Texas, and I think we would be successful. So if somebody leaves, then, you know, they found an opportunity or see an opportunity elsewhere. I'm not worried about that. Mm-hmm. Now, I am in touch with the members. I do and I got this from Gymwright, which I love, but it's 30, 60, 90 contact. So you get 10 contacts within the first 90 days of becoming a member. So everybody has my cell phone. Everybody gets calls. Everybody gets text messages. Everybody gets a congrats at the end of their first month. 6 weeks in, we're asking them for reviews, which is very important. People are very willing at that point to send reviews. You've got to ask for them. We're also sending our referral program to them. So I'm just checking in to say, hey, you've been through 3 foundations classes. You got 3 more. How's it going so far? Tell me about it. Hey, do you have any specific goals that we can help you achieve at CrossFit Liberate? Just simple things. So people do know me. I don't want to sound arrogant. That's not what I'm trying to do, but the processes are in place for CrossFit Liberate. Even if I stepped away, somebody could show them the process and it would still run. And that's what you want out of a business, is that efficiency. Nobody's bigger than the business. Right.
Yeah. Bo, I think it's a great question. Because it is something a lot of gym owners do struggle with. And Jack, I think you hit the nail on the head in that it's about building the brand and not just around the individual. And that's for a whole slew of reasons. Everything from, you know, if someone needs to leave, or if, let's say, you decide you want to sell the business someday, or, you know, you get hit by a bus or something comes up and you've got to leave for 3 months to deal with a family emergency, who knows what, but life happens. And you want the business to be able to run even if you weren't there. Yes, people would miss you, but the roles would still get done. It wouldn't be a reason for people to leave necessarily. And exactly. The way that you do that is that you're constantly centering everything around the brand. You have different people energizing different roles, and it's not one person who's just this like shining star of your head coach and everyone else is just a nobody at the gym. Oh, that's just our front desk person, or that's just another one of the coaches, but I'm the one who does the programming. There's a lot of ego in a lot of gyms around the person. They're the one on stage. They're the one who is kind of the center of attention. And really it shouldn't be about that. It should be, this is our approach here at Active. This is how we do. It's always a we thing, and that you're mixing up coaches in different time slots, and they're not only ever getting exposed to one coach, and that's all they know. Sure, there are smaller gyms. There's not a lot of people, and you know the way schedules work. I get it, but your goal should be so that people get exposure to everybody. And Jack, even though you're not the one necessarily teaching classes, you're maintaining a very active relationship with people well into membership and you know, at events and all that. And it's important that people know who everybody is and what everybody does, and that they have exposure to these people. I think you guys, it's exactly what you guys are doing, but ultimately that's where we want to get the business. You want to get it out of you doing everything and everything being on your back. The problem is not because they were exposed to your members. The problem is that they don't see, they're not bought into your brand, and that they have a career path through you. And if you're communicating with your staff and you have the kind of relationship you should have with your staff, you will know that their goal is to open a gym, and you're going to help them do that. You're going to help get them to that goal. And that could mean whether you're involved in that project, or you at very least can have an elegant handoff as you get them out of your gym, and they'll now far more likely to respect you and the gym and the business, because you've had that open dialogue the whole way through. And this is something that you've kind of worked on together. So if I would suggest going back and watching those episodes, Jason's got some really solid points on that, on kind of his perspective on that.
I'll kind of I'll go a little bit deeper. I do want to make sure that we have a talented head coach. Mm-hmm. We have talented one-on-one person, Gabby. We have a talented assistant head coach. Listen, we would not be at 94 members without these people and their commitment and their attention to detail. Mm-hmm. So I want to make that very, very, very clear. Mm-hmm. That you just couldn't do it. Now, I'll also say, when you get the processes in place, although I'm a huge Georgia football fan, I really respect what Nick Saban does at Alabama. There's a process in place for everything. He pays attention to the small, minute details, and I think that's what sets him apart. Nick Saban loses assistant coaches constantly. Constantly. Alabama's still at the top, as I got to witness a couple weeks ago.
Very good. Okay, cool. So let's put up our last question here for the show, and then we'll wrap up for today. Again, if you're watching this after the fact, you can always post a question to the comments, tag myself or tag Jack, and we'll answer them for you. But last question here from Brennan Taylor. Question is, what are the latest community events you've done to gather your most recent leads? Are they health fairs or events catered towards health, or are they just random events?
Yeah, so I'll give you a couple that we have done. We did a class with, we have a professor who coaches for us. He brought his class in. He's a professor of kinesiology. So all the students came in. We get all of their contact information. They took the class, and I follow up with them on membership. We have a software company next door. They did a free workout. I follow up with all of them about membership. Coming up, we are going to be at the Chick-fil-A Half Marathon Expo. So we'll be there, and you're like, why are you going to target run? Well, why are you going to target runners? Well, I'm like, well, these people are in fitness, and we all know that people train for specific races. What are they doing afterwards? Sure. So you're there, you're selling what you're doing, and absolutely people who, I talked to somebody recently. It's like, I just do CrossFit, and I went and ran this marathon, and I kicked my buddy's ass who had been training for it. Right. So it's like, so just anywhere you can get in front of people. We are doing a bring a friend community workout at the gym here once a month, and there's a coffee shop next door, and they have a farm cart come, and they make these amazing biscuits. So we're doing it in conjunction with that event. People are coming and working out, grab a biscuit afterwards, drink some coffee before and after, have some fun. But once again, we have those people sign up in advance. I've got their email address. I'm entering them all into Infusionsoft. I've got their phone number. So, they're going through the sales process.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much, man. You shared a ton of great information, insight, and of your experience in building your box and getting it from, pre-opening to opening to where you guys are thriving, and you guys have a great growth trajectory. I'm really proud of you, man. Awesome job. Keep up the good work. And thanks for taking the time and sharing with our audience today.
Yeah, thank you, Marcus. If I would wind on one thing, there's nothing special that we have done. It's literally about, we have just a great product. We have great coaches. I want to tell everybody I can about it. So I'm calling. Don't be afraid to sell what you do every day. You know that you do a great job. So be confident about it. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to have somebody tell you no either. That's fine.
Couldn't agree with you more, man. Thank you so much. Where can
Thank you,
people
Marcus.
find more
Thanks,
about
everybody.
you?
What's that?
Where can people find more about you? People
Yeah, so I'm an open book. If you have any questions, or if there's any way that I can help the CrossFit community, I love CrossFit. It's changed my life. Been doing it 6 years. And I just do general population classes. So I'm with the members. I'm eat my own cooking, if you will. But they can find me, jack.green@crossfitliberate.com is my email address. You can find us on social media at CrossFit Liberate. I'm always willing to accept a phone call. So my number is 706-490-3017. That is my personal cell phone. So feel free. I'm happy to reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions and help out any way I can.
Awesome. Very good, man. Well, thanks again. Yeah, check out CrossFitLiberate.com. You guys have done a great job. Beautiful facility, man. Keep up the good work. And go ahead and end it here. Thanks so much. And everybody, we'll see you guys next week. Same place, same time. And have yourselves a great weekend.